Hello everyone, my name's Luke Acree. Welcome to Above the Noise. Guys, today we're talking about cold calling, and I want to talk a little bit more about this topic of handling objections. Now, I mentioned in a past video that I have about 70 people on the phones full-time right now, so objections come up all day long. I want to give you guys a 3-step process that we use that have really helped us over the years handle objections. So every sales caller knows when you give a great presentation or a pitch and you get to the end where you're going to assume the order and ask for the close, what's going to come next is an objection. And a tip I'll give you is you need to expect objections to come and you need to embrace that because that's going to translate into the confidence of how you handle it. So let's walk through a scenario. Say you get to the end of your pitch and you assume the close and say, hey, Mr. Johnson, let me activate your account. What would you like to use for the billing information? Visa, MasterCard, we do take American Express and Discover. At that point, Mr. Johnson looks and he says, Luke, I really like it, but I really want to talk to my wife first before I make a decision. At this point, walk Mr. Johnson through these 3 steps. The first one is acknowledge the objection. So many salespeople will go right back at Mr. Johnson with a rebuttal, trying to overcome the objection. What you need to do is say, hey, Mr. Johnson, completely understand. I have a wife myself. I wouldn't want you sleeping on the couch. Make a joke. Build camaraderie. This is your chance to make sure Mr. Johnson understands that you hear him. Don't listen to respond, listen to understand. So acknowledge the objection. Now the second step is you want to isolate this objection. So what do I mean by that? Well, so many sales callers, when they hear an objection, they might do a good job at agreeing or acknowledging it, but then they go right for the rebuttal. And even if they do a great job at handling and overcoming the wife objection, guess what pops up next? Oh, I want to look at my marketing budget, or oh, I need a little bit more time to think about it. Objection after objection after objection. And what I tell salespeople all the time is a call has a lifespan, and a fatigue will set in on your prospect, and you'll lose the deal just from the fatigue of the call, not even the true objection. So you need to isolate that objection. So after you acknowledge and say, Mr. Johnson, completely understand, have a wife myself, let me ask you this. Is it just talking to your wife? Is that the only thing holding you back from stepping forward with me right now? What this is going to do to Mr. Johnson is he's going to now have to process in his mind, is this truly the only objection? You're almost in a way kind of funneling down on him. And what will happen is 2 things. One is he will bubble up objection after objection after objection. And you can really start analyzing and saying, okay, what's the core objection here? Or he'll say, yeah, I love it. I just want to get my wife's okay, and then we're good to go. At that point, he has said yes to the order. The only thing in your way from Mr. Johnson signing up today is his wife. And that should lead you into the overcoming stage. So now, after you've acknowledged it, you've isolated it, now you go to overcome. And there's 2 things I would want you to recognize when it comes to overcoming. There's so many different scripts you can use. There's great one-liners. It depends on your industry. But a principle that I've really found to be true is that the only reason someone doesn't buy from you is not because they need to talk to their wife. Maybe they gave you the excuse or the objection of their driving. It's the fact that the value that's been represented to them in your pitch, in your presentation, has not convinced them enough yet of the cost, that it overcomes the price and the cost that they have to pay. So there's this principle there, and it translates into this fear of losing. As human beings, we hate to make decisions. We can't even decide where to eat on Friday night with our significant other, let alone on the fly decide that we want to do this marketing for our business. And the reason why is because as humans, we're scared that we're going to make the wrong decision. Mr. Johnson, put yourself in his shoes. It's not really talking to his wife. It's the fact that if he does this today and it doesn't work, he's now wasted his money, his time, and if he did it without talking to his wife, now he has to fear the critique and judgment he might get from his spouse. And so at the end of the day, what you have to do is be very direct. We call it here at ReminderMedia, share from your heart. And you want to stay in acknowledgement and say, hey, look, awesome. I love that you would want to step forward with me. What objections do you think your wife would have? Make sure he understands you're still listening, that you're hearing what he's saying, and you want to, address those issues. And then remind him of that value that I talked about. Remind him of the benefits of what you bring to the table and say, for us, it would be, Mr. Johnson, I know you need more referrals and repeat transactions for your business. Is that something your wife would want as well for your business? I'm being super sincere here. Is that something that your wife would want? He's going to say yes. Then ask him and say, well, let me ask you this. If your wife made a decision today to purchase product X that would help you drive referral and repeat business, would you be upset with her? And what that's going to happen in his mind is he's going to face the reality that, you know what, no, I would be okay with my wife making that decision. And she's going to be okay with you making that decision, Mr. Johnson. So I really appreciate this opportunity. If I can have your okay here and here, we'll get this thing rolling. So at the end of the day, what you're doing is you're funneling him down to realize that what truly is at stake here is not talking to his wife. It's the value that's been represented. And does he believe enough that this product X is going to help him get Y and Z? And if he does, then he doesn't need to talk to his wife anymore. So there you have it, guys. Let me summarize for you. When you get an objection, what process you want to walk through in this 3 steps is you want to acknowledge it, stay in agreement with that person. Then you want to isolate it. Make sure it's the only thing holding them back. And then after you isolate it, then overcome by sharing the value that you bring to the table outweighs all that fear of loss, unknown, talking to his wife, the time it would take to pull over to the side of the road if they're driving. Let them know that it's worth every penny to do that, and you'll have success overcoming objections. Take action on this today.